I saw this one video on my feed, and I'm a huge Elden Ring stan. Why Western developers are so angry about Elden Ring's success. I wanted to see it, because I do remember people making a lot of noise about Elden Ring being cringe in some ways, even though I love the game so much. I think Elden Ring is so good from its very lore. Yes, Moog wants to have sex with his brother, but at the end of the day, it's written by George R.R. Martin. Have you seen Game of Thrones? So anyway, I'm excited to see what's been going on and why people... Elden Ring just keeps winning. It's just the best game. Anyway, we're just gonna jump right into the drama, the feast of drama.
What's up, guys? It's Endymion, and today I wanted to do something a little different and talk about the response to Elden Ring from the perspective of Western game developers, and why something like Elden Ring was both received so well by fans and loathed by developers alike. Of course,
I think it was just loathed because people were jealous.
Don't bully or attack any developers for their comments. I don't need corporate SWAT members barrel rolling through my window in the middle of the night. And also, I'm not saying Western devs are incompetent.
This dude just said don't harass people because they might attack me. He didn't say, it's not like harassment is bad or anything. Like, you can do all that you want, but they'll attack me, bro, and I don't want any of that.
And also, I'm not saying Western devs are incompetent. Watch till the end so this all makes sense. Now let's begin talking about how Elden Ring pissed off an entire continent of game developers. So you probably saw on game websites or Twitter the response of some game developers saying that Elden Ring's success was not earned because it had problems from PC stability, mysterious quest design, and game UI, but it goes deeper than that, and I'm just gonna say it straight. Game developers are mad about Elden Ring's success because it challenges and overcomes basically every fundamental aspect of game design Western game developers have been using as crutches for years.
Are you gonna say that they hate it because there's not enough diversity?
Let me explain. Firstly, let's look at the Horizon games. They're good games, I got the platinum for both of them, but the Horizon series is the equivalent of the Bad Luck Brians of game release windows at this point. Zero Dawn released within the same 2-week time frame as Breath of the Wild, and now it happened again with Forbidden West releasing a mere week before Elden Ring came and stole all the thunder again. I played Forbidden West when it came out, and like many, I abandoned the game as soon as From Software's latest Epic released. 125 hours within the lands between, along with the platinum trophy for it, I finished my first run of Elden Ring, and I went back to Horizon, and oof, yeah. The problem with Western-made games is they have this almost homogenized feel to them all. The absolute flood of open-world experiences paired with quest markers and hand-holding combined with the addition of...
I love the mysterious quests of Elden Ring. I love that you can play through the game. I've played through the game 10 times. I still learn new things about the game. I've gotten all the different endings. I've had to figure out how to do it, but I have literally learned new things about the game every time. You know, you figure out the Dung Eater quest line, but it's somehow connected to the Celavis quest line. The fact that Latenna talks to you when you approach Castle Sol on the mountaintops of the giants if you did her quest. Like, there's so many little details, and the world really gets to just fits together so well. The lore of Elden Ring is so insanely good. The fact that Scarlet Rot is some outer god's handhold on the world, and that teaches you how Melania fought Radahn. It doesn't hold your hand through the story. It's your own adventure. There are so many details. It's a massive world, and there is a fundamental lore to all of it. I love that about Elden Ring.
Microtransaction stores with cosmetics for games that are single player mostly, like any Ubisoft title ever basically under the sun, gets tiring to say the least. These games all feel the same, whether it's from Ubisoft, Guerrilla, or whoever else. The Western taint of modern game design has permeated into basically every modern game ever, and the influence of these philosophies even at times influence games made in Asian markets like Ghostwire Tokyo, which I'll talk about later in the video because that game is yikes. Anyway, the constant game design philosophies of Western game devs and their need to flood the player with quest markers, hand-holding, telling the player what something in the distance is before they even reach it and discover it, I'm looking at you, Valhalla, just makes these games feel less like adventures you're embarking on and more like Disneyland tours, where you can feel the hand of Western devs on your shoulder going, look at that quest marker, there's something there and you'll get an item from it. It removes all sense of discovery, and Elden Ring pisses them off for a multitude of reasons that I will now list for you. First off, Elden Ring doesn't hold your hand. Okay, sure, you can see little streams of golden light pointing in a direction, but it's not a literal dotted line on the map or an arrow pointing you where to go constantly like you're a sheep who left its pen.
And also, that just gets you through the plot. It doesn't show you any of the actual lore or side quests.
Secondly, and this is one of my major gripes with Western games, is there never feels like there's any surprises or sense of danger in their worlds. How many times have you felt like you're completely zoning out, moving from quest marker to marker in an Assassin's Creed game or whatever, knowing that when an enemy jumps out at you, you can just quickly delete the bad guys so you can resume your quest marker cleanup. Whereas in Elden Ring, I can be minding my own business when a literal dragon...
It's like the Elden Ring world moves on its own. You are just a small part of the world, and you end up becoming the Elden Lord. You are the tarnish of no renown. Everyone else in this world is so much more impactful and important than you are until they're not.
Out of nowhere, and now I gotta fight for my life or become a human shish kebab. There's just no sense of danger in most open world games. Hell, even Skyrim made dragons feel
True, the open world actually feels like an open world.
formulaic and boring after the third encounter. What should be an amazing spectacle quickly devolves into, come down here so I can kill you already, you're wasting my time with all your wing flapping. And third, too many of these open world games go for quantity over quality in basically every regard. Like, I couldn't tell you what any of the side quests in Valhalla or Watch Dogs were about. I even can't remember any of the side quests really in Horizon Forbidden West or Zero Dawn either. It's not that Horizon's quests suck, they just aren't super memorable in my opinion. Sure, they look nice, and on a technical level, Horizon is amazing, but graphics aren't everything to someone like me. Elden Ring's graphics are good, but they're nothing compared to Horizon's, and yet Elden Ring's world feels more dire, interesting, and vast than Horizon's regardless. Thankfully, we have games with actual great quests like The Witcher 3 or the Mass Effect trilogy, and even Cyberpunk 2077, with some very memorable quests that I'll remember for years, like this one where I'm nailing a guy to a cross while a film crew captures it all. The reason why Elden Ring annoys Western devs so much is because it was a success and did better
so
than
well.
anything released by Western developers without relying on the same crutches they do when making games. Elden Ring has quests, but they're not clear-cut. You're not told to go somewhere to meet someone, you just discover them randomly when exploring. There isn't a bunch of markers on the map predetermining what you're going to discover before you get there. Whereas in Assassin's Creed, the game's compass not only tells you what is what in your vicinity, but even color codes the icons so you know exactly what kind of content you'll discover when you reach the marker. That ruins all the sense of exploration and discovery because there's nothing to find out because you basically already know.
In many games, especially in the West, I suppose, it's about, it directs you. It's like they want you to play this game because it's a story, right? Here they're putting you in a world, and they're like, in Elden Ring, they want you to make your own story.
As in Elden Ring, you just go and ride your horse and, oh look, it's a cave, wonder what could be in there. Oh my god. Elden Ring works because it rejects the Western game design philosophy, and that's great. Unfortunately, we do have game developers thinking they need to mold their visions to meet Western audiences, and the results are usually never good. Look at Ghostwire Tokyo. When the game embraces its Japanese roots with the spooky horror elements and ghastly enemy designs, the game feels unique. But then you quickly realize it's a Ubisoft-like game with an open world full of icons and things to collect. And what could have been an amazing 15-hour story-driven experience becomes a 40-hour collectathon where you feel more like you're cleaning up the map than you are experiencing a solid game, and it's a shame. I should say that not all Western-made games are bad. There's even games I really enjoy made by these developers, like Destiny 2, for example. Even though Destiny 2 features a lot of Western game philosophies, they at least offer varieties in terms of activities, builds to chase, and have a solid gameplay foundation that feels amazing to play.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, I don't love the way this guy keeps talking about Western game philosophy. Like it's a huge negative. I mean, obviously there are L's on that side. I thought he was gonna talk about how it's like, there's no inclusion. It's so woke. It's just so woke. Obviously they're jealous of Elden Ring because Elden Ring is one of the best games, if not the best game ever made.
But I think Destiny 2 is an anomaly when it comes to live service in Western main games, but hey, that's Bungie for you. Not everybody can do what they do, I guess. But these design philosophies are clearly not just affecting Western games, as we can see Japan feel the push to mimic these ideas with development teams like Platinum Games making huge misses like Babylon's Fall, which could have been an amazing 20-hour experience of hack and slash gameplay with fun replay value, but instead made it into a weird live service game that's designed so players can come back to play more and live in their world or whatever. And it backfired because Babylon's Fall at one point had one person playing the game on Steam.
Oh my god!
About this.
That is so wild.
This is what happens when Japanese developers don't do what they're good at and try to—
The real reason Western developments don't like it is because it came as a complete game. It didn't need a day one patch. It isn't littered with microtransactions. So true!
Emulate Western games, it basically never works. From Software thankfully had the foresight and creative way to make Elden Ring into what they wanted it to be. Had they chased trends, it would have been an always online, live in our world and all that other BS kind of game. But thankfully it isn't, and the fact you can gain different sets of armor and hordes of weapons and spells makes the game feel like an anomaly in an era of gaming where subscription services and product tie-ins seems to take priority over anything else. I mean, the fact From Software made Elden Ring so you don't even have to face the majority of the bosses or engage with like 80% of the content in the game in order to finish it probably confuses Western devs even more. How could From Software put all that effort into areas like Haligtree and bosses like Millennia or the entire region of Caelid and General Radon and have literally none of it be required to beat the game?
True, you could just go fight Godric, fight Renala, go right into Altus, and then you could go right to the end of the game.
It's simple. From Software respects the player's time and just offers quality content because they believe in it, and that angers the West. And you know, even though developers are angry at Elden Ring's success, that those same developers will end up mimicking the design philosophies of Elden Ring in their future games regardless. I'm actually very interested to see what Horizon 3 will look like, or the next big open Assassin's Creed game in a post-Elden Ring world. Mark my words, the influence and effect that Elden Ring has had on the gaming industry will be vast, and like Breath of the Wild or The Witcher 3 before it, Western developers will be looking to it for inspiration for years to come, whether they want to or not. Because this Western design philosophy when it comes to games sometimes even dates itself before games even release.
Is it really a Western philosophy? He keeps saying Western philosophy. I'm not sure if it's a Western philosophy or if it's just, you know, these people make an entire game. They make a whole game, so they want people to play the whole game. So they make everything a requirement. I don't know if it's actually the Western philosophy. I just think they're jealous. They're jealous Elden Ring was so good.
Look at the upcoming Gotham Knights, which is basically a game made with every single Western design idea in the book. We got power levels, we got loot, we got co-op, enemies with ranks to their health, yet the gameplay just looks like a worse version of Batman Arkham Knight, a game that came out in 2015, mind you. This problem of homogenizing genres and gameplay ideas stems from not only the Western game dev making process, but the industry as a whole.
Feels like you're describing the AAA game process.
Games are stupid expensive to make, and they take a lot of time to develop. I mean, Elden Ring took over 5 years to make, and it's probably impossible for From Software to capitalize on the hype of it besides a DLC, with a full-blown sequel being at least 3 years away at the earliest, I'd say. So while it makes sense that Western devs stick to what they think works because it's safe, it also tends to make
Elden Ring 2.
Subsequent releases not as interesting because we already know what to expect before we even play it. I really hope the success of Elden Ring not only shakes up the industry, but gives a strong message to the people in charge of making the actual big decisions to maybe let their developers breathe and actually make something unique once in a while. I mean, although a little generic, Sony did take a bet with Guerrilla, who was known for Killzone, and they ended up making Horizon, so just let devs stretch their creativity. We don't need more live service games, and we don't need Japanese developers feeling like they have to make games in a way that doesn't cater to their strengths, like Ghostwire Tokyo or Babylon's Fall, just so that they can slap open world or live service on the box and hope for sales. We don't need more open world games, we don't need more item shops and whatever, we need creativity and new ideas. We need more games to look at the behemoth that is the gaming industry like Elden Ring has and stand defiant and show that it's actually doable to be both engaging, difficult, and profitable without sacrificing the integrity of a studio.
Yeah, and so many people were complaining about Elden Ring, that Elden Ring should have an easy mode, it should have an easy mode, it's so hard, it needs an easy mode, what about everybody easy mode? Huge L. Elden Ring, the team behind it, made a masterpiece, and they wanted you to experience it the way they did. If you wanted to play it hard, well, don't play it with summons. You don't have to level up to level 10 before the first boss. Well, honestly, you don't even have to fight Moog or Melania at all. You can just skip him. There's so many ways to make the game easier, but it doesn't need a sacrifice on the game's integrity.
Because when a studio is forced into making something they're not comfortable with, that's how you end up with stuff like Babylon's Fall and the Avengers. It's not just unsustainable, but stupid in the long run. Play to the strengths and stop trying to pigeonhole every game into a certain archetype to fit trends. We need more games to follow in the example of Elden Ring and stand out. That's how the industry will evolve and grow. I'm not saying Western devs are incompetent, far from it, but there is a sickness in the industry and it needs to be addressed before every game franchise we love turns into live services like the upcoming Assassin's Creed Infinity.
Dude, we need the next Assassin's Creed to just be a Fortnite patch.
Or the newly announced Marvel microtransaction fest like Marvel Snap and so on. We need innovation or it will mark the death of the industry, especially in terms of creativity. And that's why Western devs are mad about Elden Ring's success. Because not only does it do away with a lot of the things they learned, but it succeeded in being original when so many devs have their hands tied when it comes to making games in the first place. We need more games to push the industry forward, just like Elden Ring has, and that's why Western devs are so mad about the success of Elden Ring. Oh, okay, well, that was a bit different of a video, but what do you think of Elden Ring's success? Is it warranted? Are Western devs correct in their opinions?
Yeah, well, anyway, thank you all so much for joining me on this. I don't know, I don't think it's Western devs per se. I think it's game journalists are mad because they find the game hard and they're jealous of its success, and I don't think it's Western devs as much as devs. It's everyone today. Their goal is to make money, and they see open world game makes money, so they just make an open world game. And they want you to play all of it, so they make everything a requirement, so they don't innovate. innovating means taking risks, and no one wants to take risks when you're already putting millions and millions of dollars into a single game. I think it's basic philosophy. I don't think it's Western. As much as I love watching Twitter cancel someone for stupid things, as much as I love that stuff, I feel like this kind of ain't it. They wanted to make money. They said Elden Ring made a lot of money, and they pissed them off that Elden Ring made so much more money than they made. I just think it's straight jealousy and the lack of willingness to take a risk. That's my insight. This was an interesting video. Thank you so much for joining on this journey and adventure. Like, subscribe, and follow me on Twitch. Stay weird, fam.